I've recently had a spell at home. I'm actually currently on a period of unpaid leave to care for my mum who's dying. She was diagnosed with leukemia 4 years ago, and at the time was caring for my dad who'd been ill for 8 years before he died. So she's, her whole life was kind of wrapped around him. And then just at the point where we thought she could have, some good quality time with us, I'm one of 3 daughters, she became very sick herself, which was tragic really. And in the last 6 months her health has really deteriorated. So she's now at home, bedbound and really end of life. And I'm now seeing life as a carer. And that's been quite an interesting experience because everybody talks about how much help carers can get. And yes, my mum is getting double-handed carers coming in 4 times a day. So they should come in, emphasis on the word should, at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 6 o'clock and at 9 o'clock to get her ready for bed. In reality, she's going from 9 o'clock at night till 10 in the morning without anybody. I'm in the house 24 hours a day. So for the nighttime calls, and she's up at least twice a night at the moment, I'm doing that on my own. The carers come in, sometimes not till 11:15, by which time she's had a wash, her pads have been changed, I've given her something to eat, and they come in and there's really nothing for them to do. And then if they come in at 11:15, the next carers, because they have half an hour leeway either side, might come in instead of at 2 o'clock at 1:30. So it's been a very short time before the next call. So although you're theoretically getting all this help, the reality is that most of it you're left on your own with. And I consider that I'm fortunate that I have a very supportive family. So, I get to go home for 2 evenings a week, and then my sister takes over. Her husband's not at all well, and my younger sister has a terminal illness herself. So unfortunately the onus is on me to provide the care, and I don't have an issue with that at all. But I'm lucky, I think, that my husband and my kids are really understanding that I'm not present at home all the time. And of course my mum is getting really good care because she's my mum, so I will do anything for her. But I worry about the people who are out there who haven't got any family members to do stuff. I mean, I'm having to do stuff, I told one of my colleagues this morning, it's like looking after an 86-year-old baby, because I'm doing everything for her that I did for my babies, from looking after her kind of, bodily functions to feeding her, everything. So I worry about the people who are there on their own, who, yes, they might get carers in 4 times a day, but what's happening for those other hours where they're just kind of languishing in bed perhaps? And the thing is that people say, oh, you could go into a nursing home or put your mum in a nursing home. My mum has never wanted to go into a care home. My father died at home, and her wish has always been to be at home and to die where Dad died, in the same room. And that's what we have promised we would try and achieve for her. But the reality of that is actually really hard, really hard. And even with my local hospice, she's not under the hospice I work with because she lives out of the area, but her local hospice, and I'm sure they work very similar to ours, it's almost like she needs to be absolutely taking her last breath before they will do anything, because they phone up once a week and they ask me how she is, and I say to them she lost 8 pounds in the last 10 days, and their reply to that was, stop weighing her. Why are you weighing her? But because I see her all the time, I lose my perspective on how she is. So sometimes I'm in my head I'm thinking she looks really thin now, but am I just imagining that? So if I put on the scales I think no, she's really thin because she has lost weight again. So I kind of need to do those things. And some of the personal care things, if people can't go to the loo, for instance, I've had to do all sorts to help my mum get comfortable, things that I never imagined I would ever have to do for my mother. But if you're there with the patient and there's nobody else, that's what you do. We have a lot of different people coming in the house, and I think we've had 11 district nurses, different ones coming in over a 3-month period. we seem to have a core of carers, although she's probably seen more than 20. So there's not always that continuity that you would like to think there would be for the people coming in. But interestingly enough, two of the loveliest and kindest carers are both men. And one is from Africa and the other is of Asian descent. And I think partly their kindness comes from a cultural background of looking after extended family, because I think I'm quite unusual in looking after my mum, because people are very quick to put people into care homes and get other people to look after them, whereas these men can't do enough for mum, and they're so kind with her. And she's, you know, as ill as she is, often laughs and says, "Oh my goodness, your father would be turning to think that I've got these two big black men looking after me now." But she absolutely loves them both, and they couldn't be nicer.